We're hot here at the Lakeside Studio.
And I'm finally back in the studio to record.
I can touch him. Y'all can't see it. I'm not going to tell you where I was touching.
I have made it home from the hurricanes, finally.
So, yes, finally. I've added some decorations, too.
Yeah.
I did this tonight.
Studio's looking good.
I threw my...
I see the bear over there.
That's a bear cub. Half-grown bear.
Well,
I didn't kill it. I just bought it at a what do they call them? Like a, I don't know. It was in Canada, one of those supply stores, whatever, where they go in. I forget. Trading Post. Trading Post. I didn't even know till I got home. I guess it's safe now. It's been, surely I'm out of harm's way, but I didn't check it in. I didn't know you wasn't supposed to bring them out of there. Not without tags and everything else. I had my receipt.
you would think, though, I mean, it's kind of a souvenir type deal when they sell them like that.
It's $400. She wanted a bear.
So she got a bear.
I brought it home. You know where it's been ever since I brought it home till today? It's been in a box in a little cubby hole thing. I don't know. It was one of those things. Anyway,
she's got it now. She knows where it's at if she needs it.
Yeah, she don't care. Apparently didn't want it as bad as she wanted. And it is. I mean, it's not the prettiest thing. But you could tell it was probably caught in a trap or somehow it got killed. Maybe hit by a car. I don't know what it was.
Snowplow.
Yeah, you don't know. You never know. But anyway, we're here in the old studio once again. Finally got you back in person. So
yeah, it's a lot better than sitting on the back of a pickup with AirPods in trying to do that.
Yeah, with forklifts blowing by, sounding like it. A rocket taking off.
And everybody partying because they knew they were going home the next day.
So,
the lineman was getting down.
But
that party didn't stop till about 2 a.m. We were leaving when they were just going to bed.
I ain't that tough. I got to sleep.
Yeah.
So you probably heard somebody over there just now. So we ain't alone tonight.
Yep. You won't have to just listen to
yeah, you don't have to hear us ramble about green fields and cutting grass and broadheads and safety straps or belts or vest or whatever. So anyway, go ahead and introduce who we got over here.
We've got Blane Willingham with Make 'em Bleed Kennels. That is correct, right, Blaine?
That is correct.
Blaine, give us a little background about you. How long you been hunting and how long you been doing the tracking dogs?
Ooh, I've been hunting since I've been alive, I think. And then my uncle started the tracking dog deal when I was a little kid. He had that yellow lab that we tracked with a bunch. And then age got him and he died. And then we didn't have a track dog. And we was like, boy, that was handy having him, We didn't have to get on our hands and knees all the time. And I had another duck dog, another black lab that I started. And then I found out that you could bay them. And I got into the Catahoula world, and I was like, boy, this right here, this is where it's at. Being able to cover, not just finding, dead deer laying there dead, being able to catch these legs and stuff that's going to die. Coyotes are going to kill them. So I started in with the Catahoulas tracking about, 5-6 years ago when I got that first Catahoula. And ever since then, it's kept rolling downhill.
I know you were pretty big into hog dogs for a while too, huh?
Well, a little bit, not as much. I tried to. I wanted to hunt hogs, but man, there's too much into that. There's too much. It was a circle I never got into, which I'm pretty competitive. If I can't be really, really good at it, I just won't do it. I will. I mean, if I can't be a winner, I won't.
So they got contests for hog hunting too, like coon hunting and everything else?
They've got bay pen stuff. I never got in none of that. And what hog hunting I did was over there, and I just it never did. It didn't click. And when it didn't click, I just said, this ain't for me. And then the tracking the deer, it kind of clicked because I think about half of tracking deer and being a handler is being a woodsman. And, I growed up, as soon as I was big enough to walk, Daddy handed me a Red Ryder BB gun, was like, go kill town sparrows, like hunt something, be sneaky, and be a varmint. And then I killed my first deer when I was 5, sitting on his lap with a 410 Rossi with a pumpkin ball slug. And Then he got me a little 223, and boy, when I got that 223 that had a scope where I could shoot over 20 yards, I did kill a bunch of deer.
I know. I mean, I know your whole family, and there's a lot of bone being killed, between all the men in your family.
There's lots of rack deer been killed.
I know that one picture you guys done on the barn side of all the deer y'all killed. Man, it was that's definitely something to hold on to there.
We took 38 because that's our number. 38 is just a family number, and we took 38. Not really all the biggest ones, but 38 from dog hunting days to now. The most stories or the most behind them or the most meaningful behind the top 38 that we thought, like one of them deer that was in that picture was a 8-point two 8-points that Dad and Pawpaw killed running dogs 100 years ago in Wilcox. They was running together, and Daddy killed one, and then the other one got by him, and Paul shot it down, and Daddy had to go down there. Stories like that. Them 38 deer that we hung on that barn that day was stuff like that.
I'm pretty sure I've been on that ground where they killed those.
There was a lot of stuff happening on that ground.
Yes, sir. That's the old camp house we had down in Camden. I've told you a lot of stories about. That place was it was magical anyway. It was a dump to everybody else that come down, but we loved it. It was home to us. Which me and you, we never got to hunt together down there. I don't know that. I think me and you've turkey hunted one time together, and I don't think we've ever deer hunted. You've had to.
Did y'all grow up together? Go to the same school?
Yeah. And I've had to get Blane to come track a deer.
I did do that one day.
You've tracked one for me, I think.
Yeah, tracked one for you.
But what was amazing, I called him and I told him, man, I told him exactly what happened. And that's how you know somebody knows what they're doing when you tell them what done when you shot, what you found on. He goes, well, I'm getting oil changed in my wife's car and having it serviced. He said, I'm going to be 2 or 3 hours. He said, you've hit it high shoulder, and we'll be down in a little while. He calls me and says, I'm on my way. The deer was dead within about 20 minutes of his arrival. His dog's done bait it. He's done killed it. And sure as the world, man, I high shoulder shot the deer. Exactly what he told me I done before. He's in Decatur telling me this over the phone. So that's the day I started believing when I got to watch the dogs. I mean, it was crazy how quick they were on it. And the deer was only about 75 yards from where I found the last blood. So I thought that was really cool. I know my daughter, it was something else. She was talking about it all night. Dad, did you see them dogs? We got to have one. I was like, Dad ain't good enough shape to have one of those dogs. I mean,
you might get in good shape.
That's what Blane was talking about.
You'll get in good shape.
So when did it go from I'm going to get me a tracking dog and doing this to people start calling you? Just word of mouth got out? Or
So I'm a big, and everybody knows me knows this. I am a big, don't do it if you can't do it and be good. So I had a black lab. It was my duck dog that I had started tracking that I felt as if the deer was dead or wounded bad enough to put off an digital gland. She would get to it. No doubt in my mind she would get to it. If it wasn't hurt bad and it wasn't putting off an digital gland, she would come back to me. She'd tell me basically, hey, Dad, this one ain't hurt. Leave it alone. But I had her, and I would track for friends, family. If somebody close shot one, and then I got my first Catahoula. I traded a ball cap for him. A dog that a guy I know had got from turns out a tracker in Louisiana that has good dogs, that has track dog background. And then he had him and then got rid of him had life happen and just got rid of him. Well, he was just running loose in a buddy of mine, Jesse Seal's house. And I seen that dog go crazy over a dead deer. I went over and showed Jesse a dead deer one day, and he just, buck I'd killed, and this dog went crazy. So I was like, boy, if I had that Catahoula to go with this lab, and then if she did get one and it wasn't completely dead, he could help her. And I got him, and the first day I had him, me and my cousin shoot 2 bucks and a cutover. Went to the cutover. It's one of them lucky things I've done in life to try to jump shoot a couple of does to see what this dog would do. And we jump shoot 2 130s. And his is
just luck.
old school, like walked out on a point on a cutover, and I said, look, I'm going to throw this rock. I said, the first doe it comes up, you get a good shot, shoot her. We'll see what this puppy will do. Well, I throwed that rock about 75 foot right there, right where the rock hit. These two bucks jump up. And it wasn't get a good shot, it was get them killed. And the one deer went 75, 80 yards out of the cutover, dead right there. I mean, just out of sight. Well, we put that Catahoula puppy on him and shoo, gone. We walked out there, deer laying there. I said, well, that was nice. Well, I put him on that other one and he lit out. Well, when he lit out, I was like, is he on that deer? You know, because I didn't know nothing about him. It's the first day I've owned the dog. And about the time I was watching that 320 Garmin, I was like, this dog's running the deer. It ain't the deer I shot. He goes to barking and we get down there and I've shot that buck's leg off and he's got him bayed. Well, we dispatched that deer and I was like, well, this right here, you know, if I can get them leg shot deer, that's a game changer. And we didn't have to run him 17 counties to get him either. So then I got to, you know, buddies would, you know, there's all time if you got something, even people you ain't heard from, hey, you think that dog could? Well, we'll try him. Well, we'll try him turned into, yeah, he'll get it. So I got him. I started tracking for the public a little bit, and my name kind of got growing. And I got on a couple sites and like knife fights trying to get a track off a tracking site. I mean, you've got guys that'll about kill somebody to get track of deer on them. And just word of mouth, really, and success finding them. That's it ain't just going and tracking them. It's finding them. It's putting them on tailgates. And then I got 2 more puppies that I got from a buddy of mine at hog hunts. I said, I need Catahoulas, some of your Catahoulas try on these deer. And he let me get 2 male pups. Actually, there was 3 of them, but one of them I never did like him. He never made the cut. But then the other 2, Austin Marsh tracks with one of them. He ended up with him. His name's Popcorn. And then my other one's my Colonel dog that I brought down there to your deer that day. And when I got that first pair of Catahoulas, I'd tell people, you know, they'd call me. And by then I'd done track, you know, we had track dogs my whole life, but we used to have labs, and now we've into these Catahoulas. And it got where people would call me like on your deer, tell me what the deer done, what they found. I could about tell them where they shot the deer, and I could about tell them if we was going to find it or not before we ever got there. And it just blowed people's minds. Like high shoulder shot deer with a bow, I'd tell them like 1 out of 20 we'll find. You'll just get lucky and cut something in there and it'll get him weak and we'll find him. And the other ones, they'll be back on camera. They won't die from it. And, you know, you go out there and you don't find a deer and people's like, man, I smoked him, double lunged him. Well, then 7 days, 10 days, he shows back up on camera and they're like, wow, he was right. And it amazes people. When you tell them what's going to happen before it happens, it really opens their eyes.
I mean, you keep a pretty high percentage rate on your fines.
Which I charge a flat rate. There's a lot of people do tips. But the way I do it and some of the tracks I get and the amount of country I cover and the drives that I make, I can't do it for nothing. I can't leave my kids and wife at home for nothing. For one, I ain't going to do it. I just ain't going to. But the ones I track normally are bucks, big buck. That, you know, this is the deer I'm hunting. Here's a trail cam picture of him. And that helps my percentage too. And where, you know, like some people running does on WMAs, you know, on lead, having a track on lead, you know, you don't know if that doe lived or didn't. I mean, you can't, even bucks sometimes on like a stuff like that, you know, they got one picture of him all year. How you gonna know if he lived or not? But normally, you know, they know this is the deer I was hunting, this is the deer I shot, and this is what I done, and, you know, so it helps my percentage be high a lot of times. There's a lot of people that get to chasing that percentage and how many they find. And there's a lot of people that'll take a picture with every deer that's shot on their hunting club too. Where if I post it or if I say it was a track, it was a deer that somebody couldn't find and we went and found it. But I do normally keep a pretty high percentage, but the deer that I track normally, you know, it's not like some other trackers that run some other stuff. You know, because they know this is the deer. Yes, he's back on camera, and that helps my percentage be high a lot of years. But I've got now where I ain't trying to keep up with it. I don't care how many I find. I just like seeing people get tickled when I do find them.
Yeah, you was telling me earlier about how you went get a call to Mississippi last year. Is that right?
Yeah. Went over there behind a red bone for a little girl. Called a buddy of mine. Called Chance. Said, hey, I'd been tracking all night. It was, I think, a Saturday night. I tracked all night Friday night, about all day Saturday. And then, going. I was tired. I was ready to go home. And this guy called me and said, look, we had a bloodhound coming here. It's right on Mississippi line. And it's like, had a bloodhound coming here. They trailed it, however many 1,000 yards around through a hunting club. And we've got permission to go over there, but it's come back on us. Yada, yada, yada. And I just told him, I said, what did the deer? And he told me, I was like, well, I don't sound right. Like what he told me the deer had done, it just didn't make sense. I called Chance. I said, hey, let's go over there, right? I mean, we can spit in Mississippi, but it's for a little girl. And we went over and found that deer. He's still alive, but now he was in bad shape.
Did it do what they had said they'd done, or?
No, the deer had actually, I think the dog tracked the deer, and that's why I always started to hit site. I think the dog tracked the deer for the first 700 or 800 yards it was, and then after that, I don't know what he done. I don't know what he was after, but for him to be tracking the deer circled back a half a mile back to where they had lost blood at, because the deer actually wasn't 150 yards from where the hunter had lost blood when I found him, and we called it. I mean, he was alive, but he was dead. I mean, he couldn't get out of his bed. He was weak. They called him. We went in there and finished him off. And then that night, drove all the way over there for that little girl. Before we get home, we ended up Natural Bridge and some strip pits for a guy. And when we got it done, I think me and Chance and that hunter walked back up to the truck. It was like 3:30 that morning. And the hunter was like, man, how do you do this? I said, I've been doing this since Friday evening. And it was coming on. I mean, it was coming on Sunday morning. It's like, there ain't no way. I said, I promise you. I said, but as soon as I can get home and cut my phone off for somebody else calls me, I'm going to bed.
It's a lot, because you got a lot going on with,
I'm telling you,
with kids. And
Well, how far do you travel?
I'll go anywhere. I charge a flat.
I mean, you got a flat fee to so many miles, and it changes, or
if it's close to home, I try to help, if it ain't a crazy drive, but normally I charge $200 to show up and $100 if we find it, when we find it. And I'll go a long way on that right there. I'll drive really further than I probably ought to.
That's what I'm saying. Somebody North Tennessee or South Kentucky called you, you'd go for $200, and I wouldn't.
For one, Tennessee, you can't dispatch.
And
you have to
wherever
track,
it's legal.
you have to track on lead. I track a lot in Tennessee.
I was going to ask you, are they on lead, or you let them?
I run off lead dogs unless I'm in Tennessee. Tennessee, I have to run on lead, and I hate it. I hate it with a passion. I hate tracking on lead because I feel like you're setting yourself up to lose before you start, because there's a lot of deer you can't get on lead that you can get off lead. And if I feel like I'm setting myself up, plus I have land in Tennessee, so I have my license, I can go up there and track. But I just hate, if I have to go to Tennessee, it costs more, because I hate tracking on lead that bad. And every year,
Probably takes a lot longer, I guess.
Yes.
Even a normal short track, when you turn one loose, turns into double time, probably.
Well, think about it. I can turn, if I could track in Tennessee off lead, I could turn two of my cows. See, up there, I can just run one because I'm on lead. I could turn any two of my, I got 4 or 5 pretty good dogs, but I could turn 2 of them loose. And if that deer went 400 yards through a briar patch, they would have it found on the other side in 5 minutes. Where me having to tangle up, fight through them briars, and go step for step in every bit of that nasty country that deer went through on lead, if I go to Tennessee, it costs more money, because I hate it. I hate track on lead. WMAs, now you have to track. I mean, you have to track on lead on management areas now. Or you always had to, but I mean,
Really? I
hate
didn't know
it.
that here.
Yeah. You have to be on lead.
I imagine the dogs don't like it much either. If they were used to being turned loose.
Well, my thing with tracking on lead, and there's a lot of people do it with success. I try not to knock anybody's style or whatever you want to call it, but tracking on lead, you put human error in there. Because humans, every hunter in the world has grown up. Hurt deer go downhill and they go to water. And that is not right. They go where they want to go. A big mature buck go 360 ways. And it's wherever he wants to go is the way he goes. And they don't always go to water. They don't always go downhill. Well, when you put you in there, now that dog's working. And a lot of it's been able to read a dog. But you got that dog working, and then you keep pushing him this way where you eventually get him off. Well, then now you're over here and you're not even where the deer went, is how I feel about it. Where that dog, he can circle out, just like squirrel dogs. I mean, he can keep circling out till he gets back on that track, then go again. And it takes away some of the human error. It's not some of it, it's the human error when you track on lead.
It makes you wonder what some of these DNRs are thinking, you know.
Sometimes I feel like they don't want you to get a wounded deer. And I know that's not the case, but like leg shot deer, I've got knocked so much, and people want to hate on baying leg shot deer. And I've learned something through tracking. There is a lot of deer get shot in the leg every year. Like
I don't doubt it. I've done it.
Hundreds of deer get shot. Big bucks, does. I mean, everything. They all get shot in the leg every year. And there's probably 1 million trail cameras in Alabama. And how many three-legged deer pictures you see? Maybe 2 or 3 a year.
Yeah, you don't see a lot of them.
Maybe. So that tells me their survival rate is extremely low.
Well, even if they could, a coyote's probably going to get them. They ain't on no lead.
We catch so many deer every year that are shot in the leg. We don't catch them. We find them dead. And when I tell you we find them, we find their horns and their spinal cord where coyotes have done. And I'm within 7 or 8 hours of the shot, we find deer that they've done killed and stripped. And that's my argument. Like, people want to say you're running them dogs on them deer, and that ain't sport. But a coyote's gonna kill him and eat him. Mm-hmm. If my 2 Catahoulas, now I got a lot of pride in my 2 old dogs, but if they can run him down and catch him, 2 coyotes can, and that's my argument with it. Like, you can't tell me that if they can, a coyote won't.
Oh, wow. They can run down a healthy deer. If they stay on him long enough. I've seen it. If they want him or her, I've had one come through. Poor thing. There's nothing wrong with that. It was the doe. Her old tongue was hung out a foot outside her mouth when she come by me, and she stopped for a second and took off again. And about 5 minutes ago, they wasn't running. They was just pushing her until she couldn't go no farther.
Yep.
Of course, they didn't get her.
Yep.
Because I turned them around. One of them turned around, the other one didn't.
I'm telling you.
So
I don't understand some of it.
I hate a coyote.
Well, run us through if me and Anthony was down at his place this weekend and we shoot and we don't find that deer immediately. Tell us what
do you need done or not done if you say I can't find that deer.
So I'll hurt some feelings a lot of times on this. There's a lot of trackers that. And I'm not knocking nobody. Everybody's got their own deal. But there's a lot of trackers that's like, if you ain't found him within 100 yards, stop and call me. I'm different. As long as you're following blood on the blood trail, go 300. Go 300 yards. Don't go 100. There's a lot of deer that get shot right that go 150 yards.
Oh, I guarantee that. I've had them do it.
So I tell people, go 300 yards. But I do tell people, if you jump him, wherever you jump, stop and leave. Leave him. Leave him. If he's hurt bad enough for you to sneak up on him and jump him, he's hurt pretty bad. Or he's gut shot normally. And 2, if you've jumped him, now the blood trail's probably not going to be that great most of the time. So I tell people, go look for your deer. But where I try to get people to understand is when you get to that last blood and you're like, okay, I'm not going to be able to find this. Do not get 13 buddies out there and take a football field and start grid searching in North Alabama in these briar patches. For one, it don't work. You can be standing within 10 foot of a dead deer in Alabama in some of the places we hunt and not be able to see a deer. I mean, you just can't. And when you take all your buddies in there and you all walk through that glen that's on the ground that deer's putting off, well, now you've got 14 trails. You got the deer and 13 of y'all going every which way that I'm going to have to work through. And it's not fun. It's slow.
So it's not the hunter's scent as they've stepped in that. And let's talk about that gland, because
Okay.
you know, you hear blood trail, blood trail, blood trail, but that's really not the important part.
No. So when a deer's mortally wounded or injured, it puts off a digital gland in its feet. That gland, if you've ever looked between a deer's toes, there's a gland.
Oh yeah,
right
I've
there.
seen it.
Okay, so that's the digital gland. That's not the only key the dogs are tracking, but that tells the dog, hey, this animal's hurt. And like my red dog, my Duke dog, there's hunters out there that'll tell you that's seen it. We can be tracking a high shoulder shot with a bow and him go 150, 200 yards and stop, dead stop, turn around and come sit down on my foot. And if he ever does that, we can go to the house. Deer's not going to die. Deer ain't hurt that bad. Whenever that gland quits putting off, Duke's done. All my finished dogs, like they're done. They track that gland. But as long as they're putting it off and he's hurt bad enough to put it off, they'll keep going. If they'll check, like sometimes Duke will come back and just get within eyesight of me and I can send him on and he'll keep going. But if it ever completely quits putting it off, they're done. But that gland, that's just another way of Mother Nature's telling, hey, that's like coyotes. I guarantee you there ain't a coyote in North Alabama that smells a deer that's putting it off. They don't run that track because there's a crippled deer at the end of it.
They know, yeah.
I mean, it's just the way Mother Nature made it to work.
What's the longest track you ever made?
40, right at 40 hours was the oldest track I've ever recorded.
I mean long. I mean,
distance?
Yeah, I mean,
so I run one for a lady, great friend of mine, Chanella Craig. She's a great friend. Her and her husband Kenny, they moved out west, but they're really good people. And she shot one time. Now, when I say this, people think I'm lying, but this is the honest truth. I was right at 10 miles when I put it across the Elk River. Now, the reason why is this woman knowed everybody around her, and it's a bunch of big landowners. And I was tracking this deer through, and I was calling her. I was like, hey, I'm at this property line. Give me a minute. She called me right back. You're good. Keep going. Well, she had done figured out the path that this deer was she just kept getting me permission. She's like, we know everybody up here. Like, all we got to do is call them. Like, just keep going. So I put this deer from their house across the Elk River, which is right at 10 miles from their doorstep. And when he swam that river, I was give out. It was one of the days I tracked about 2.5 days and just pretty solid. And I put him across the river, and there's blood on the rocks as he went across. She got me permission to go back across. We went across. Deer swam back across on us. Well, when the deer swam back across, I told her, I said, look, I said, they've been nothing but good to me. I said, y'all have been good to me. I said, y'all are some of my favorite people to track for. I said, but I can't sit here and fight him on this river all day. He's just going to swim it. I said, I don't know where he shot. I think he's grazed real bad, like because he was facing her kind of when she shot. I said, but I can't get him. I said, he will die. I'm pretty sure of it, but his legs, like, it's just weird. I said, it's one of them deals. I can't figure it out. Well, her neighbor went down there, seen him a pen where that deer had swam that evening. And that deer, which I didn't count it as a fine because I'm not the one that got him, but that deer was laying on the other bank. When he went up, he died.
As far as he could go.
He had finally went as far as he could go. But that's the furthest track my dogs have ever carried was right
That's
at
a long
10
But
miles.
they'd never found him though if you hadn't have said where you
No,
was and
no,
stuff, where they could drop the
But
pin and went
like
up and
I
look.
I didn't count him.
Yeah.
I didn't count him because I didn't put my hands on him and I couldn't call and say, I got your deer. But that deer was shot with a rifle, and the bullet went in right at the end of his shoulder, and it broke every one of his ribs on his side. Like, it literally opened him up on his side, and it was just a huge, nasty, I won't say flesh wound because you could see down in him, but nothing, I guess you would call it his system, like none of his legs or his organs was hurt. It was just the fact that he was
just
open.
opened up.
It was literally his whole side was open.
And broke ribs.
Yes.
They're amazing animals.
They're toughest. They're so tough. I mean, some of the stuff I've seen. We found one last year, 2 years ago. A little boy had shot a buck kind of facing him, and he shot that deer up in the high nose, took his whole top snout off, and we recovered that deer. And me and his dad was sitting there talking about. He's like, for one, how did that deer stand to do anything with that? And then for two, how did he live? And I was like, well, I mean, it just didn't get to his none of the good. It just took, and he would have starved. That deer would have starved if the coyotes didn't catch him. He couldn't eat. He didn't have a top jaw. But it was one of them deals like it wasn't meant. Little boy just pulled a shot, got excited. I mean, it happens to everybody.
Well,
I see a lot of your like Snapchats and stuff, but I mean the tippage would have to go up when I've seen you swim these ponds and stuff in the wintertime.
Hey.
I mean, I've seen you go across all kind of water during the winter.
The coldest I've ever been is there was a woman that lived over towards Hamilton, and I'll never forget it. It was like iced over cold. It was 30-something hours old shot when I got there. They'd done put another dog on it. And when she told me what the deer done, I know she'd shot the deer's leg off. They had a piece of leg bone, about a 2-inch piece of bone. Like I knowed it was a leg shot deer. And she said they had trailed, I think it was 1.5 miles supposedly, but they had never jumped the deer or nothing. And I was like, I don't. Over in Hamilton and them hills, they're bedded decently close because it's hill country and it's thick. Sometimes it'll happen, but I was like, that just don't make sense. So I went over there. We jumped this deer about 600 yards from the shot site. I don't know what that other dog had done, but it hadn't trailed no shot deer. We jumped this deer, and it goes in a beaver pond. And you know how them swamp beaver ponds is. It's just, you'll be walking knee deep, and then you just go under. I swam out in a beaver pond and got this deer. And it was probably 20-something degrees. And we jumped him at 600. He went in the pond about 750. So about 750 yards from the truck's all we was. If we'd been any further, I'd froze to death. I come out and my shirt, it was so cold, my shirt turned into ice. And I was just like, hun, congratulations. Thank you. I'm headed to the truck. I'm getting cheers. Think about how cold I was. Like, I was like, I got to get the truck. I called Katie. I was like, crank that truck and have the heat on high. She said, did you get it? I said, you don't understand. She could hear it in my voice. She's like, are you all right? I said, crank the truck. I'm on my way. But I will. When somebody calls me to get one, as long as I can, I'll go. Like, I'll get it. I'll do everything I can do. I'll swim this lake right here to get it, especially a kid. I mean, a little kid bloodies one up like a leg shot deer. I don't want that kid to, because for some kids, when they wound one like that, it upsets them. And I feel like if I get that deer, say you didn't make a bad shot, buddy, we just took a little bit. We got him.
Right.
So kids, I'm telling you.
And if they'll hang in there, they'll have a lot more bad shots. So,
yeah.
I mean, if you do it long enough,
especially if you shoot a bow.
Yeah.
I made a bad shot on one other day. I am really thankful I'm the guy that owns the dogs because I don't know if I'd ever got him. I know I wouldn't have got him without him. And like I thought, that deer, he would have died. It'd have been a bad deal, but he'd have died.
That's why I don't understand that even if, like you said, sometimes you might think they don't want you to find him. Why you want that animal to suffer? I mean, even if the coyotes don't find him, he's got a 2, 3, 4, 5 days, maybe longer, that he's going to just not be able to eat or drink, or it's a terrible way to die. Yes. I mean, it's just inhumane.
Well, and then people's like, well, them dogs chewing on them. Normally, which this goes back kind of like earlier, you said you'd have to get in shape. I make sure I'm in shape for deer season starts with these dogs. Normally, when my dogs bay, within a minute and a half, deer's dead. I'm normally a minute and a half behind them if it's a very long track at all, and it's over. Where you get you 3 coyotes and let them torture one for an hour and a half in a deep hole, that ain't nowhere near as bad. And I just feel like as hunters, we should do everything
We
we
should.
can
I was
do.
going to say that. That's
to me,
exactly
that's like the
right.
hunter's
I
creed.
mean, a hunter, not somebody out there just killing to kill.
Yes.
Don't care. Probably wouldn't take care of the meat to begin with. But yeah, we should do everything in our power. And our fish and game departments, and like I said, Alabama's pretty good apparently. I mean,
yes.
I understand maybe they don't want them running. You may not want them running on a management area. You don't know who will get mad, and you know what I'm saying? You don't know who's over that hill in a tree somewhere.
It's
or
kind of
at nighttime's a different story.
At times, it has given me a reason not to have to go. Like on gun, I don't really want to take my dog to a WMA with a gun hunt.
Mm-hmm.
Because, I mean, there's a lot of hunters that hunt WMAs that are good hunters, that kill good deer off of them every year. And I understand. But there's a lot of folks out there that's got a gun and a bucket.
Mm-hmm.
And, like, I don't want to be in the woods with them, running up and down, chasing, trying to get a deer. And I really don't.
I've been hunting in the woods with them, had to hide.
Yeah, like, I really don't want my dogs running through there.
I was at Okmulgee one time, had to get behind a tree. I don't know what they were shooting at. I could hear the bullets coming over me.
I can't.
That was my last Okmulgee hunt.
Retired right there.
I was in, yeah. I do hunt one management area, and I ain't hunted it in 15 years, but Barber, because they bought my club land. I knew it real good. But that's about the only one I've ever hunted. Done a hog hunt up here by your house.
Yeah.
On management area when they used to do them. But I ain't never deer hunted. I turkey hunted it.
You had a pretty cool track for some friends the other day. That was cool.
Yeah, I had two guys call me. So, two buddies. Had to be really good buddies because this one buddy let this other dude shoot a pretty good stud. Had a big 7-point. When I say a big 7-point, like they called me and said, "Hey, we shot a 7 and an 8-point out of the same tree." My mind said, "Okay, these two guys have shot 2 basket racks, But if it's trophies to them, it's trophies to them."
Mm-hmm.
So we get down there, and they've hunted the same tree out of 2 saddles. They're sitting in the same, not 2 trees by one another. The same.
They're in the same tree.
They're eye level.
So one's kind of hanging. They're just,
Yes, they're at an angle sitting there. So the 8-point comes in, and his buddy's like, "I told you could shoot him," but they could see the other big deer right out there. He's like, and his buddy's like, "Well, this is your place. Like, we'll wait." So the 7-point comes in. Guy shoots him in the guts. He runs off. The 8-point don't run off. Stands there. Boy knocks the arrow, shoots him, thump, hits him high in the shoulder. Deer runs out there about, I think he said 40 yards. Knocks another arrow, shoots him again. Shoots him kind of through the shoulder. One lung is about all he got. And but had 2 arrows in this one deer, so they called me and it's like, "We've got one that's been shot twice and one that's gut shot." I said, "Well," he's like, "Can you come right now?" I said, and it was that morning early. I said, we don't need to come right now. We kind of do for this other deer, but this gut shot, we don't need to even be in the woods nowhere around him right now in case, let's let him die because we know we can recover him. And this other one we'll just see. So I said, let's give them 8 hours. I said, I'll be there about 7.5, 8 hours. We'll track the one that shot twice first to give that gut shot that much more time. If we do get on him, it'll be fine. It's enough time. So I get there. We find the 8-point, get him. These boys are crazy, tore up. And this is a stud of an 8-point. I looked at that one boy. I said, "I thought you said the 7-point was the big one." He said, "He is." I said, "You've shot a stud of a 7-point then, like a giant 7-point, because this is probably a 130-something inch 8-point. I mean, a solid Alabama bow kill." We go over there, dogs take off, and he's like, "We found blood here. We found blood here." I was like, "Y'all tracked him?" "Well, we didn't go far." So we go 350 yards, and I'm seeing puddles where the deer's wanting to lay down and die. Like, if they would have left him alone,
they pushed him.
He wouldn't have went 150 yards and laid down and died. Like, he was wanting to lay down. And I said, "Just tell me when we get to where you stopped." We go about another 50 yards. He said, "Right in here is where we didn't go past right here." I said, "The deer will be within 100 yards, 100 to 150 yards. "How do you know?" I said, "Because this is where y'all finally left him alone, leave him lay down." My blue dog didn't go 80 yards. The deer was laying right there. I said, see, y'all was fixing him. And now it was bad thick. I said, y'all was just pushing him. But we found both of them deer, and you want to talk about two buddies getting tore up, which, I mean, to kill 230-plus inch deer in Alabama in the same tree with two bows at the same time, I don't know anybody else that's done it.
No, that's crazy.
Well, you know how we did, just doubling on turkeys this past spring. We's crazy. I mean,
we've been trying to do it.
We've been trying to do it for, what, 4 years?
Yeah.
I'll get tore up. I can get tore up over shooting one turkey, much less killing two with a buddy.
Yeah. You don't get to go like you used to, though.
I don't.
Blane used to be a straight turkey, though.
Well,
but life happens.
Yeah.
Man.
You have kids and get married and have kids, which I wouldn't trade it for nothing. But
the day's coming when they go and weed, and you go right back to it. Mine, I said this before, mine didn't know spring break you went to the beach. They thought you went to the hunting club. It was turkey season.
My oldest one is be 3 in December, and he's done eat up pretty bad. But when I get my twins, I got a boy and a girl, it's twins. When I get them up about 4 and big brother will be about 6, I'll start training them, and by 8 or 9, I won't have to worry about not getting to hunt. We'll be hunting.
Well, now your wife likes to hunt about as much as you do, maybe more.
Well, I mean,
my wife,
with 3 kids, you're going to need some support.
My wife is a killer.
She kills some good ones, too.
She killed 2 years ago on Friday. We had an 11-point and a 15-point on some land in Tennessee we got in. We hunted the velvet hunt. I killed a 7-point with my recurve. And then the guys we got in it with, they hunted it every day. They was up there all the time. And we went up there to track a deer right up there by it one day. I said, while we're here, I said, we paid them. We got a membership. We need to look at this land. We pulled up my green field, and there was a green field that they had been driving through to go hunt a spot. And you could tell nobody had hunted it. They was deer turds, big uns everywhere. I said, one of these bucks is using this field right here. We hung a camera. I think it was Wednesday. Thursday, 15-point standing there. 5 minutes later, the 11-point standing there. I said, tomorrow evening, you will be sitting there. We drove up there Friday evening, put her in the stand. She ain't been sitting there 20 minutes. I ain't even hunting. I'm sitting up the road watching a cut cornfield, just knowing I wasn't going to see nothing big enough to shoot, just sitting there. She shoots. I go up there. She's killed the 11-point. So we come home from Tennessee at night. Took forever to get that deer skinned. You know, had to debone him and all that. And I wasn't prepared. I mean, it was a booger. So we come home. The next morning, she goes, I'm going to go hunt my stand up the road. And I said, well, go hunt it. She kills a stud of an 8-point that Saturday morning. That Saturday evening, the 15-point shows back up in the green field in Tennessee. I said, tomorrow you'll be sitting there. She said, no, you want to kill him, go kill him. I said, baby, I don't know no grown man that's killed 3 mature bucks in 2 states in 3 days. But I know a woman that's fixing to have the opportunity to. Drove her up there Sunday evening. She killed a 15-point, a big 15-point. Same green field, she killed one in Friday evening. She killed 3 bucks in 3 days in 2 different states. Like, she is a cold-blooded killer.
And some good deer, too.
Some good deer.
I mean, not just 15-point bastard. I mean, they were great deer. All 3 of them were great deer.
She made it. I had a bite got where it wasn't fun again, really. And then I went to taking her, and it got fun. And then I started hunting with a recurve, and it got funner. And then now, I hate to say it, but when my boy, like the first deer me and my boy see this year, I'll burn a buck tag on a spike. I guarantee you, if my little boy says, shoot it, Daddy, I will lay it down.
He's a pistol, too.
He scares me. I'm gonna pay for a lot of my raising.
Your daddy's sitting back right now smiling, going, oh yeah, it's coming.
I'm telling you, my daddy grins every time he does something, because he'll do some stuff, and I'm like, boy, I'd have said that when I was that age. And Daddy would just look at me like, yeah, get ready.
When you got him around them ropers and stuff, there's no telling what he's going to say.
Funny, though, how them granddaddies don't seem to bother him as much as it did when you said it when you was that age.
It don't bother him. He'll hiss it on. He'll be like, what'd you say?
Yeah.
Say it again. What'd you say, buddy? What happened?
I look at my old man and say, You whooped me for doing the same thing. Well, I did not. Oh, yeah, you did. I get on him and tear one of them's tail up. It's like, you don't need to be doing that boy. And I'm going, what do you mean? You did the same. That's how I know to do it.
Yeah. You're the one that made me.
Yeah.
Like, I remember when you whooped me for this.
Grandparents, and I tell you, I got 5. I'm an old man. It's a different. It's what everybody says. You think you love your kids, and you do. But it's a whole different level when the grandkids come up. I heard somebody the other day say something about, I said, and I don't agree with this. I said, you get to be the parent you should have been. And I don't necessarily agree with that. I just think you're more, first off, you get old. You ain't as high strung maybe as you used to be. You got a little bit more patience. And they're going home most of the time.
Yep.
I don't know
to
now.
sugar them. They get over here. I had one throw up in the car going home. I fed him so much candy and stuff while he was there. He puked all over him going home. It was like, Pops don't get to give you candy no more. That's what I was told. Put the candy up.
I tell you, I found out about the grandparents thing. My stepdad, he's never had any children. Didn't even like kids, And when we had Hunter, I mean, Mike just, it changed him. I mean, like, this guy fell in love with Hunter. I mean, he owned that pawn shop. Hunter, he'd be like, you need to bring that boy and let him stay with me tomorrow. And I'm like, Mike, you working? I mean, you going to change diapers? Yeah, I'm going to change diapers. All right, well, we'll bring him. Well, then Hunter, as he gets bigger and can kind of start getting around like your boy, probably about that age, he goes to work with Papa. He comes home, he's got a laptop. I'm like, Mike, why has he got this laptop or this thing? Well, he wanted it. And I said, he can't even use it. He don't. I said, it's going to get broke. And he said, well, I mean, he wanted it. And I let him take it. And I thought, man, I mean, I knew then who had him right.
But 3 of these grandkids ain't no blood to me. They my stepdaughters. I mean, they're my daughters. I don't look at them no different. But I mean, and they were first. My youngest son's got 2 daughters. But yeah, there ain't no difference between them. They don't play no favorites or. I mean, they could. I don't know how to explain it. I mean, it's not. That's my step grandchild. You don't.
Yeah.
You don't look at it like that. I don't even look at yours. I mean, I feel like she's, my niece or something.
I always say that though. If you're going to have step kids, you signed up for that. They shouldn't be step. They should be your kids. Yep. And if more people would do that, it would make some of these hard divorce situations.
I don't understand why people do what they do. Now, listen, I didn't step into, and I know this is getting way off. We go down these rabbit holes, but I didn't step into the I'm your daddy role. They got a daddy.
Yep.
They go see him every weekend or whatever, every other weekend. I'm not here to tear your tail up. I don't ground you. Now, I make you mine, and I tell you mama, I tell you daddy. But, that's their job. They can tell you you're grounded for a week or whatever happens.
Yeah.
I won't let you get run over by a car, and you sure as heck ain't going to steal nothing without me saying something.
Yep.
My youngest daughter, boy, she's a handful. I'm telling you right now. I thought I wanted girls. I got 2 boys. And I thought I wanted girls till I got 2. And I left for work. Generally, I get up at, then I was getting up. I was leaving the house about 6. I was living in Smoke Rise in Hayden. I didn't have to leave. Now I get up. I get up at 6. I would leave there about 6:30. But here I'm up at 5. But I had to go to work early that morning. It was a Monday morning. I guess it was summertime. And as I opened the garage door, there that youngest and her friend had spent the night. They was coming in the door. Please don't tell mama. Please, I said, I got to tell you, mama. It's not my, that's my job. My job ain't to, she can ground you or not ground you. Just get on to you, but I got to tell her. Now, of course, I did tell her. And now she's married and she's got actually a stepdaughter of her own, a daughter. And she said, I'm so thankful you come in my life. She said, I'm trying to do exactly what you did. Now, that girl was a lot younger because I got Sarah when she was 11. I think 11, but she feels like she's mine. She won't call me daddy. She calls me Anthony. Now she says my dad. Every if she was talking to you about my dad, this, my dad, that, and that's fine. It don't matter to me anyway. I've been called much worse.
Well,
My wife got me that shirt, so that tells you right there.
she's doing a heck of a job.
Oh yeah, no, she's made me so proud.
Yep.
She's running. She owns her own nail salon, and she's doing so good. Married a good man. Thank God he come along, took her off our hands. I thought I never would talk him into popping the question.
You don't even have to ask, man. You got
For a year, because they dated a long time, and I know he'd been married before. He probably didn't want to jump back in it, but I'd call him the son-in-law in waiting, and it would just get under his skin. And he finally, matter of fact, he asked her here on a New Year's Eve, and they're supposed to have been outside. We was all on the deck. We was going to watch from up top. He's going to be down by the fire pit. She wouldn't come out of the bedroom. So he finally just asked her back there, and then she come out where we was waiting on him. Guess what? Just ruined the whole thing. That's what I tell her anyway. And I got to walk her down the aisle. Her daddy was on one side. I was on the other, because she told him. She said, you both are doing it or you're not doing it.
right.
And, made me, I was as proud of that as standing there by my son when he got both of them when they got married.
Well, Blane, I know y'all just started a new Facebook page. Tell us about it.
Yeah,
Tell
let's
us
get
what
back
it
on
is.
track.
So
Back on track with tracking.
Yeah.
There we go.
So me and David Jones and John Stevenson and Kyle Talbert last year at one point was like fed up with going behind other dogs. Like the tracking world has got so diluted with just anybody wants to be a deer tracker. And like I understand, like it sounds like something fun to do on Saturday or Sunday, or if you feel like it, go do it. But to get on some of these big tracking pages list, all you need is a phone number and a dog. You ain't even got to really have a dog, because you got to prove you got one. You just tell them, hey,
Go borrow your neighbor's dog.
You go
make $100.
We can go right up here. This Great Dane that we seen pulling in.
Oh yeah.
We can borrow this dog and get put on a tracking page. And we just got we got so tired of that. And I told them last year, we started talking about it, we need to make us a group, like just us four. And it's not really trying to say that we're better than anybody else. It's not trying to say that, we don't think nobody else can find a deer. It's just trying to say that if you call North Alabama Wounded Deer Recovery, like if you call one of the four numbers on that page.
That's y'all's Facebook
That's our
name,
Facebook
North
page.
Alabama
Yep.
Wounded Deer
Yes, it is North Alabama Wounded Deer Recovery.
Recovery.
It's our group.
I wish I'd had your number a couple years ago when my old man shot that.
I hear that I hear it all the time. Every time you
I
start
looked for
talking
that
about
deer
it.
for 8.5 hours.
So we made this group, and it's just us four. But really, me and David are kind of on this side of the state. Kyle and John's on the other side. But it's not really for, hey, us four want all the tracks. But if somebody called me right now or text me right now, and we're sitting here and I'm doing this and they've gut shot one right over there, kind of by the house, I know a guy that's got a real good young started dog. It's a good solid dog that can go find that deer in 8 hours. I'll tell him, I'll put the hunter with him. But when I do that, the young guy, my buddy that's got a young dog, knows that if he runs into trouble, all he's got to do is call me. Like, we're not going to cost the hunters deer by doing this. Kind of mentoring through this group. And trackers have a network just like anything else. They group text and Snapchat groups and all that. So it all is kind of a big thing. But where it's got bad is on the big pages. Like, you pull up Coleman County right now, and you're going to probably see 30 names.
Really? That many?
Literally.
Every
30, you'll
day.
probably see 30 names on the list for just Coleman County. So you pull up this list, and my name and number is no different than the guy that's going to stop up here and borrow his neighbor's Great Dane. all we tried to do by making this group, and we just started this year, is say, hey, we're going to either put the best that we think we can put with you or find somebody that we can trust to take care of you. Like, we're not trying to, get all the tracks and just us four run them and nothing like that. We're just trying to make sure that somebody don't get a dog that's never tracked a deer. There was a guy that a couple years ago cost, I don't know how many people their deer before I started going behind him about once or twice a week. And it wasn't like it was hard track. I'm talking about deer laying out there dead, like gut shots. I trained 6-month-old puppies on gut shots. Like, it's how we train dogs. And this guy was causing people. I know now, looking back, he cost one guy pretty good at judging deer on the hoof, but when they get so big, it's hard to say. But I'm going to say at least a mid-170s in Alabama. Cost him the deer. And I know the deer gut shot him. Found gut matter. And this dog, which I didn't know until later on. That was actually the track that I started saying, okay, I'm not going to call the hunter when I see he's going. But if I see he's going, I'm gonna follow this on these sites. And if the hunter, if they say they didn't find her, just delete, I wasn't trying to cut him out, but I would tell the hunter, hey, I'd talk to him, and if it's like a gut shot, something I know that was laying out there just wasting, if you want me to, I'll come find your deer. Well, I done paid him. I'll come find you deer. Like, I just don't want nobody to lose their deer. And that's kind of what caused that Facebook group to get started, because there's so many. It's just like anything, there's way more bad apples than there's good apples in about anything you do anymore. Right. And it's sad to say that, but that's just how it's gotten with everything.
So there's not like a tracking dog association where they kind of qualify people?
So there is a UBT testing that they do.
Yeah.
But it's a mock track where they use the gland and shoes, but my thing on that is, if you go out there and lay a mock track, there's humans sent there too.
Mm-hmm.
Like, there's extras that's going. It's there's a whole lot more than just the deer, wounded deer going through the woods, and I don't want to. I'll ruffle some feathers by saying this. It's something fun to do on Saturday and Sunday with your dog. Like, I get it. It's something fun to do, but it proves nothing to me, because I know of some Grand Night coon dogs.
I knew where you was going.
I was just going to say, but for a guy like me that don't know you from the other 5 guys that may be good or not good, there's no, well, this guy's done that. Or
there's nothing but word of mouth.
Word of mouth.
There is a page, and I'm not. They're trying to do like a ranking system on a page, but there's some of them that I look at and I just don't agree with.
When you say ranking, like this guy's found
rookie or intermediate or experienced or expert, whatever it is. But there's some of that I see on that, and I like how they're trying to help. There is a lot of thought and a lot of help. I like how they at least that page is trying to help show people. But like, there's a guy that's an expert that's tracking with a puppy. I believe this is his first year. So how are you an expert tracking with a puppy? It's his first year. Because I can.
So they're ranking the person, not the dog.
Somewhat, it is, and it.
Because to me, they ought to go, okay, you've recovered X number of deer, you're an expert. You're recovered this many, you're intermediate.
So we say this, and that's how I thought at first. But me and Kyle Talbert, we're really good friends. He's a preacher friend of mine, and he tracks. He is good. Him, John, David, it's us 4 on that group. So we talked about this, and he's like, okay, so if you go by number of deer, then you've got the guy that takes a picture with every dead deer at his club, like a skinning pole. So really, the only way to promote and do is by word of mouth, recovering deer, and trying to educate people on it. And that's really all the 4 of us are trying to do, is say, look, we're not saying that we're the only 4 that can find one. We're just saying that we're 4 guys that we're not going to cheat you to try to make ourselves look better. There's not one of us 4, and I can say this and I can speak for them on this. There's not one of us 4 that doesn't want to find a deer. If it's recoverable, we want it. I don't have to be the one that finds it. David does it. John does it. We just don't want dead deer to lay out in the woods and waste, because that's not what we do. We're supposed to recover these animals. Where there's tracking dogs and being a handler, it's about 50% houndsman and about 50% woodsman in my eyes. So you've got some guys out there that'll turn their dog loose, and if they ain't found it within 200 yards, it's not injured. It'll show back up on. It don't matter if there's a can of gut matter laying right here. That's a dead deer. That's from something else, Yeah. It don't matter that. It's they don't want theirself to look bad. Where I'll give you an example of the day. A guy shot a big buck over towards Hamilton. I tracked for him a couple years ago. I caught a leg for him, bait a leg shot deer, and he told me, he said, I'll never call nobody but you. I said, well, if you call me and I can't come, I'll get you somebody. I'll make sure that somebody I trust comes. I went over, he'd shot a big buck, gut shot it. Well, when he shot, there was a bunch of deer standing there, and he hit 2 deer. So we track his track probably 1,200 yards. And the blood I'm finding is real bright muscle blood. And I finally told him, I said, look, I don't want to say what I think happens because you'll think I'm making an excuse. But I'm going to. I said, I really think you've hit 2 deer. I said, I really think we're tracking a deer that's been shot in the ham or flesh wound. Like, this is not, because my dog was tracking slow and weird. At first I thought coyotes might have got on it. But after I could find a little blood and look and started making sense of stuff, and then they actually got to the deer that we was tracking and bayed at him for just a second. Well, when a deer broke bay, they never tracked it past there. I was like, that deer got over that wound right there and didn't put off no more gland. I thought, he shot 2 deer. So I tell him this, and naturally, people that have seen it, he did not trust me, but I can understand why he thought, that might not, I could understand where he was worried. I said, if you'll take me back to that shot site and give me 20 minutes, I'll find your deer. I said, that deer's laying up there dead. We've just got on this other trail. So I started Duke and Colonel over, had Doc with me, and they all track up this one trail hard. Well, it was a logging road. Well, when he had shot, he said there was 7 or 8 deer went up that road. Well, we got up there, and when we got up there, they went the same way they had went earlier, and it was downhill and easy. So I went to the left and made a 100-yard half circle. I call them half moons to the left. Didn't hit nothing. So I went to the right, and it was thick, nasty, uphill, thick jungle stuff, old cutover. I was 50 yards from hitting the line that other deer had went on, and my red dog went right like you'd shot him out of a cannon. And I knowed right then, I said, they fixed to find that deer. He went another 60 yards, deer's laying there dead. So that's the stuff that I try to get people to understand. A lot of people would have tracked that first track, and then they wouldn't even went as far as we went. They said, oh, deer live, and they'd have went home. Where I know there's gut matter on that area, so I know that deer was dead. And I wasn't leaving until I figured it out. And it took, when I tell you it took a while, by the time we tracked over there and then come back and then restarted and I made them half moons, I probably had 4 hours invested in this. If this other deer wouldn't have been shot, it would have took 10, 15 minutes tops. But because we had spent all that time and them deer had went up that same trail to figure it out. But when I seen Duke hit a track, because I can about tell you when he's tracking, I can read him like a book. He dropped his nose and went hard right, and that blue dog right behind him, and then that puppy went. I said, that deer's laying out up there dead. And he wasn't 75 yards laying up there dead. I called the hunter. He's sitting at the buggy. His lights done died. About tells you how long we've been out there. I said, I got good news and I got bad news. He said, what is? I said, bad news is you've shot 2 deer. I said, the good news is the other deer you hit will live. I said, I promise you to live. It's fine. I don't know which one it is. I don't know if when your arrow went through it, caught a doe or whatever, but you did hit 2 deer. And he said, okay. I said, and the other good news is, am I tracking about a 24-inch, 23, 24-inch wide 9-point? He said, yeah. I said, well, he's laying here dead. I could hear him hollering from where I sat. But that's the stuff. That's the kind of stuff that there's a lot of trackers that won't do. And I'm not sitting here saying that, you know, there's just 4 guys in North Alabama, but there's a whole lot of guys that won't. For one, they're not woodsmen. There's some of them out there that aren't good hunters, so they start tracking deer to be able to do something. And I'm not knocking them for, you know, trying to have a new activity or whatever, but don't go track somebody's 150, 120. It don't matter if it's a cowhorn spike, if it's somebody's first, you know, don't go track him deer with a 7-month-old puppy when you wouldn't trust it to track your own. And that's where I get kind of wound up. When other trackers call you or call people, you know, when they shoot a big one, that's when that ought to be, you know, that ought to be the sign right there. Okay, you probably shouldn't do this for the public.
Right. Yeah. I totally agree with that.
But that's the sad truth of it. That's how bad it's got.
Well, not to get off that part of it, but you raise puppies too? You breed? You train and sell them, or what do you do? I mean, is it just you raise them for yourself and track, or?
So I do raise puppies. I do raise puppies, and I do sell some puppies. It's not really something I advertise a lot. Like, I don't raise puppies.
Yeah, I mean, you're not in that business.
Yeah, like, I'm not trying to flood the market with track dogs, but I try to make sure that people that's in my circle and people that's, like, if a young tracker gets in it and I can tell, okay, he's trying to do it. He's trying to build a team before he starts tracking for the public. Like, he's trying to do this right. I'll hook somebody up. I've got 2 really good dogs loaned out this year to different trackers. One of them South Alabama, one of them's right over here across the state. I give a good friend of mine, and I ain't going to say his name, and I know he wouldn't care, but I ain't going to just because. But I give a good friend of mine an amazing track dog. But the reason I did, she was a female. And I don't hunt female. I start my females. Like, if I keep one for me, I'll start it until this would make a good track dog. Then I'll breed her. But I will not breed a dog if I don't think, okay, this would make an above average, exceptional track dog. I'm just that way. I'll sell them to the cow catchers and let the cow catchers use them. That's my whole program. So the female I give away, I seen that she was not just an above average, she was going to be a freak. And that's the ones I want. I want the freaking natures. So I told him, I said, hey, come get this female and run her. I said, if you don't like her, bring her back. I said, but you'll like her. So, like her, and then I've got them 2 male dogs loaned out. A buddy of mine, South Alabama, Brett Vick, had a female dog out of some of my dogs, a Duke Addy pup, that was making a machine. 2-year-old deer finding machine. Wasn't even 2 yet. And she got run over tracking deer, jumped out the road, and a woman hit her. And that was last year, and I called him. I said, come up here. I got 2 females. They're the same mom and daddy. They're just a little younger. I said, come get them. I said, they was my 2 I was keeping for myself. I said, but come get them. I said, because you'll hunt them. I'll raise me another. I'll keep me another and later on. No big deal. And get my Ranger dog to help you finish out your season. So Ranger stayed with him the end of last season, and he's there again this year. At the end of this, he's actually my wife's dog. I got in trouble. I got in trouble for loaning him out because he was Katie's, but she kind of forgave me. But at the end of this season, he'll come home, and he'll have his other pack going. But if people's trying to do it right, man, I'll help them any way I can. But it's these guys that don't want to. There's a lot of them that think you just pull up and turn the dogs loose, sit on tailgate like coon hunting, and wait till they find it. That ain't nowhere near it. Dogs gonna get hung up on tracks. You're gonna have to get in there and use your head and your knowledge and work through some stuff. Coyotes are gonna get on them, and dogs. Every dog track's different with coyotes on track. They'll slow down, or that some of them will get where they don't even want track. You have to kind of go with them, and there's a lot more goes to it than just turning loose a dog and walking out there and finding a deer on a real track, as I call them. Now, puppy tracks, when you double lung one that's laying out there 100 yards, you know it. That's different. But real tracks, when people can't find a deer, there's a lot goes into it.
I'm just glad there's people out to do that because, I mean, between the training and the vet visits and the dog food and the fuel and time, I mean, people don't realize like what kind of expense you have in just this old dog that's on the back of your truck.
Let me tell you, and this is funny to me. When I started charging a flat rate, I was like, there's still people that try to knock me for it. But when I sat there 2 years ago, my blue dog got gutted. I thought he was going to die. I never thought he'd make it the truck. Big mature deer. I mean, a stud. When I got there, my blue dog was laying on his side, trying to bay. Couldn't use his back end, trying to bay this buck. And my red dog sitting there trying to keep him off of him. When I seen that, the next morning when I was at the vet's office, and I was sitting there watching that vet bill run up, it said, when I don't care what anybody says about what I charge, which if you counted my time and the 13 pair of boots I'll go through this year, and ain't telling how many pair of pants I'll rip, and a truck every season, and feeding them 5 or 6 good dogs every year, every day of the year, I don't make no money. I mean, you don't make no money. You don't. You might think you do, but you don't. Not if you figure it all up. You're just doing it. You're just doing it to do it, and that's charging a flat rate. I don't see how guys that do tips can do it, and I will. We've talked about this. I pulled up last year, and there was an old man in an old beat up Ford Ranger, and I got there, and it was his granddaughter had shot a deer. We went, found deer, come back, and everything, and we got back, and he said, "Here's your money, thank you." And I handed it back to him. And, I'm talking about one of these old school men now. He meant he was going to pay me. That was the deal. And I handed him his money. And he said, "I ain't taking that." I said, "If you ever need me again, I won't come back unless you'll take his money." He said, "Son, that wasn't a deal." I said, "Look," I said, "here in a little bit, I'm going to pull up. He's going to be a guy driving a 2023 brand new pickup truck with 2 side-by-sides. High dollar shooting houses on a $10,000. I said, he can pay me my $300 to find his deer. I said, but I ain't judging a man by the way he looks. I said, but I'm not charging you to find this girl's deer. And you could tell that he was thankful for it, and he took it, and he went on and was happy. But he wanted to do that. He wanted to give me that money. But I was sitting there thinking, I said, the difference in him bringing that granddaughter back here next weekend is that $300. Like I've found deer hard tracks and not let nobody give me a dime. But I have went on some tracks before and just flat out be glad. I mean, you'd be amazed at some people that just get mad if you don't find it. Oh, I double lunged him. He's like, I got bubbles in the blood. You got an air pocket where it hit the ground. You can pour out a cup of milk and it'll do the same thing. I said, there's difference in bubbly blood and a bubble air packet caught, But people get hung up on that stuff. And I try to be fair. I try to help hunters out, but at the same time, I can't do it for free. I can't take time away from my
Not
kids.
When gas is $3 a gallon, you got a wife and 3 kids at home, and
go buy you a pickup truck.
Yeah, I know.
Because you can't just buy the old beater that you wish you could buy. Because, I might be 80 miles down there at Fayette, and somebody called me plumb across another 80 miles. I've messed up before and typed in my address, be 3.5 hours from home, and end up tracking another before I got there. But, I've wore out 2 vehicles. When I say wore out, there's a flatbed Chevrolet that's been all over the world.
That's what you was in when you come track mine.
That flatbed Chevrolet's been a good one, but she's done. I wouldn't trust her go much past Addison.
You're gonna have to put some truck and go somewhere tomorrow night though, because I guess I need to apologize to your wife.
I think we both do, and we've already run pretty long. We probably need to wrap this thing up so he can get on home and try to
Try to smooth things over for us taking him away from home.
If you mess up and plan a podcast on your anniversary,
Yeah,
you're probably not going to overcome that.
Which you did say you'd be here, and you came.
If I say, and I'll do the same thing deer tracking, if I tell you I will be there, if you'll wait on me, I will be there. But I will also miss an anniversary dinner to do a podcast if I tell you we'll do it.
If somebody would call for you to track, you'd have been gone anyway.
No.
Yeah.
Oh, come on.
He'd have called you and said, hey, I just got a call.
I know what he would have said. He would say, hey, yeah, when I get done eating,
I had a guy call me today, and I was hauling hay, and he's like, I need a dog tonight. And I said, I can't tonight. I got a podcast, and it's my anniversary. And he's like, a podcast? Yeah. And I said, then I got to go home. It's my anniversary night. And he said, man, have a good night. Good luck.
Yeah. I do feel bad now. I didn't know it was anniversary night.
I didn't either until I seen it on Facebook. So when he got to the house, I was like, you said you had nothing going on. Happy anniversary.
I hope you got her at least a card and some flowers or something today.
I got her a gift, and then tomorrow night I'll have to take her to dinner, and the next night I'll have to take her to dinner, and the next night.
Or you might have to let her go hunting, and you take care of the kids.
I'll sit with the kids. I'll sit with the kids.
Is she ready to go yet?
Gun season. It's got to get cold. We killed a big rattlesnake in Tennessee last year, and she's out on bow season.
Yeah.
Until the snake's go on the ground, she's done.
It's tough.
So she don't turkey hunt then?
She wants to kill one because it bugs her. She's been married to me for 4 years now, and she hasn't got to kill one. But then she goes to thinking about snakes. And I'm telling you, that rattler.
I don't run into snakes except during turkey season. And so far, since I've been piled up with him, I don't think we've run up on a snake. Nothing that was dangerous.
Poisonous or anything.
I've stepped on a couple big timber rattlers, though.
I had one hit my snake boot in Black Warrior one morning 2 or 3 years ago. And you want to talk about a bad feeling. Because it ain't like I couldn't have got out. But when it hit that snake boot and I realized I got away and realized it didn't get me, I was like, boy, if I wouldn't have that snake boot on, that right there could have been bad.
I did almost what you're talking about. I had killed a turkey that morning. I wasn't hunting. I might have been hunting, but I was really going to listen. But I had my shotgun with me. Never know if a coyote might walk out.
Might see a coyote.
But I wasn't I wasn't looking down. I was just looking down the road. And when that snake, I was about that big around. When I stepped on it and my foot rolled off, turned, I didn't have to look down. I knew, thank God it was stretched out, because I thought I jumped from me to you, but it was really me to him. And it had done curled up and back to strike. And luckily I was toting the gun and wasn't on my shoulder. I kind of shot from the hip, but I didn't really get sick until I knew the snake was dead. I'd killed it. But I looked down, and my youngest son's boots, that was a week after spring break, boot tracks was right there, the little old, about that long, and I thought, my God, if that snake had been there last week and it had hit him, because he ain't got no snake boots big enough for no 6-7-year-old. And that's when it really hit me. I just went back, got on my four-wheeler, and rode back to camp, broke in my cousin's camper, found his cigarettes. I didn't even smoke. I smoked me a couple cigarettes. And if I'd had some whiskey or something, I'd drink it, but I was done for that night.
Must have been low then.
When I stepped on that morning, it plumb unnerved me.
It'll do it. The one out there, they had 13 rattlers and a button.
That night I stepped on wasn't no giant snake. But it was the fact that I'd stepped and it hit my boot.
I'd rather step on a rattlesnake than a copperhead, though. The copperheads, they mean.
Step on none of them.
Well, I know, but them, you can see a copperhead over yonder in that corner. He'll just roll over there to you and bite you. A rattlesnake 9 times out of 10 try to get away before he ever does anything. But now he ain't gonna get away if I've got something to get rid of him. I know there's a lot of snake lovers out there, but first off, they eat my turkey eggs, and I ain't going to give them that chance.
I'll just use that as an excuse. I just don't like them.
Well, old Snake Queen down yonder, you should hear her. We've had a couple get in the house. Just water snakes. Ain't been no cottonmouth or nothing. But she didn't know I was going turkey hunting. I was turkey hunting. She called me. I was off down Dallas County where I got a place to hunt. And there's a snake in the bedroom. I said, where you at? I'm on the stairs. And I said, well, kill it. I can't go down there and kill that snake. I said, walk around the garage, open the door, and there's a shotgun right there. I said, shoot it. I'm not going to shoot my floor. She ended up calling. He's the dang police chief now at Hayden, but he was police chief at Aniana. She called him, wanting him to come up here. He lives in Aniana. But he knew somebody that caught snakes or did something. Now, she was upstairs. She done shut the door. She wasn't going back down there. They showed up. Snake was gone. Of course, in her mind, Snake's still in the house. So she slept upstairs till I come home 2 or 3 days later.
I'd have slept out here in this building.
And she, listen, I had to, you need to go down there. He's seen the bedroom. You got to walk through it to get to the den down there. But I had to take every drawer out of every, the dresser, the chest of drawers. I had to take the mattress off the bed. It's got a double box spring thing under it. I had to cut the fabric on the bottom of them box springs so I could see up in there, not her. I could see up there. I said, that snake is gone. That snake went right back out the way he came. Never no snake. But I tore that house apart. I said, if he's here, we'll find him one day. He's going to crawl out. He's going to get hungry. But
she didn't want to hear that.
Oh, no. But when the drawers was empty, I had them all stacked up. You could see down through them. Then I had to pull them off for the wall. But after that, she got on these snake groups. Now she's a snake expert.
Yeah,
snake
she can identify them.
She'll tell you, somebody will say something, she'll say, oh, that's a blah, blah, blah water snake. Or you can tell by the stripes under its eyes. I'm going, I can't. I'm going to kill it.
Ain't got no head last time I seen it.
She took a picture of a big one right down here. That thing was 4 foot long, laying. The dogs had it bait up out here I got a couple old feist. They was giving it hell, and she put them up in the house so the snake could get away and get back down to the lake.
Not me. I'd been hissing.
I would have. My neighbor over here next door to me, I watched one swimming out here one day. I'd seen it a couple times, I didn't have no gun or nothing, but ain't gonna swim by him but once. You'll hear him out there, pow, pow, pow. So anyway, well, I think we need to wrap this thing up. Y'all need to get home. I ain't even eat dinner.
I ain't either.
He ain't gonna get no dinner no more.
Ain't gonna get no dinner.
Yeah. He be sleeping on the couch tonight.
He'll be up with the babies.
I'm glad I got good dog kennels because I'm probably going to sleep in one.
Well, is there anything else though you want to
how
talk?
would someone get in touch with you?
Yeah, you need to let them know.
So Facebook group, or you can give me a call, 256-590-6363. And we tell people all the time, advice is free. I mean, if you have any second thoughts or guesses, just call. Give any of us on that group. You just give us a call, and we'll be there. I mean, you can call us. I wish talking about it. I mean, my phone goes off from beginning of deer season to end of deer season, from daylight to daylight. I mean, people. It's funny. People want to wait till midnight to call the dog guy, but they do. But yeah, just shoot us a message on Facebook. Our numbers is all over at tracking site. I mean, just
I think you sent me a
We'll put all that in. I'll put all that in the notes. The name of the Facebook page and your phone number and all that good stuff.
North Alabama Wounded Deer Recovery. Like I say, there's 4 guys on it, and I trust them 3 just as much as I trust myself.
So if you was on an anniversary dinner and I called and said I didn't want to track,
I would probably,
one of them guys could come help me.
Yeah, I guarantee you we would find somebody. I guarantee I don't get to track tomorrow night.
Well, happy anniversary.
Yes.
Yeah, I'll make sure to tell her that.
Yeah. I mean,
Hey,
she's welcome to listen to this.
I married a good woman.
I think we all looked up. It took me number 2, but I got me a good one.
I hate to say that though. You're always like,
You hate to say my wife's a good wife.
no, like for these women to put up with us. I don't know any other way to put it. I mean,
They got to be good.
they gotta be good because we leave for weeks at a time. Turkey hunting. Blaine's gone all the time, whether it's work.
Our wives done
tracking
figured out.
deer.
When we say we gone for 4 days, it may be 9.
She just
or a month.
she blocks me out at, like, if we go on a 3-day hunt, she blocks me out for 7 because we always take extra socks and underwear just in case.
Nah, they sell
And we've
them.
needed it more times than one.
They sell them at Dollar General.
Yep, and there's them all across the United States.
Oh, yes.
Walmart.
That's Katie. She thinks it's funny. I've got probably 40 Dollar General T-shirts at the house, and that's from getting soaking wet deer track. Because I normally take 2 to 3 pair of clothes when I leave the house, just because you never know where you're gonna end up. Well, sometimes them clothes get all wet, so I'll end up at Dollar General buying them $10 shorts and $10. I showed up at a track one night. I had on some of them $7 tennis shoes and some sweatpants, some DG sweatpants, and a T-shirt. And I was like, dude, look, I'm not homeless. I wasn't gonna start this track wet.
Well, good deal. Well, I appreciate you coming out
Man, I do
tonight.
too.
I enjoyed it.
Yep.
I've learned a lot.
Yeah. Well, the first time he tracked for me, he was teaching me about those glands and all, and I was like, I had no clue.
Well,
No, matter of fact, I just saw the other day a picture on Facebook, something that, they had it spread apart and you
Yep.
could see that hole in there where that gland
Yep.
was.
When he found my deer, he showed me. He said, right there's where that comes from. I was
and
like,
that's
man.
the thing. I mean, to cover everything, you never learn it all in deer tracking. Like, if anybody tells you I know everything there is to know, they don't know half. Because, I learned something every year. Every couple of weeks during deer season, I'll figure something else out. And that's just, if you want to get better, you got to keep learning.
That's right.
Well, good deal.
Well, once
Good
again,
deal.
we appreciate you coming, and I guess that's about it.
Yeah.
I don't have anything else.
No, I can beg. If you want me to beg, I can beg like I do once a week.
Are you calling the other
I'm
ones
calling them
this
out.
week?
I'm calling Apex out now. I did get them. They got their attention on a
Yeah.
post. That's better than no cuz has done. I ain't gonna talk about Lauren. She's too sweet.
She's
So
been
we
good
nothing from Mossy Oak. We're trying to get pro staff.
Ah.
Trying to get pro staff. Been begging Mossy Oak. I guess I'm gonna have to go up and just kiss the ring of Toxie or something at Turkey Convention this year. I don't know if you go up there, but if you hadn't, man, you need to go. It's fun. But we decided we're gonna branch out now since all we shoot. I'll shoot anybody's TSS if it's good and they want us. But all I've ever used Apex has killed everything I point that gun at that actually have had it on. I did miss a turkey, but it wasn't a gun nor
It's
the.
killer on trees.
Oh, it'll kill a tree.
it'll get a
He has
bush.
killed trees in multiple states.
I have a dead tree all over.
Yeah. You can go back. We can go down into Florida and go, you're sitting right here.
Yeah.
Because look at that tree right there. It might be dead, but it ain't got no bark on it.
I
right
go to
in there.
Randolph County and show you. Yep. I
Yep,
killed
there's
that
one
this
right
year.
there. So you tore up a cedar tree. You killed the turkey,
Yeah.
but you shot every limb off that cedar bush.
That's what I need. I need to get DG to pro staff me.
There you go. DG Pro
Sweatpants.
Staff. I ain't even thought about them. They sell a little camo too. We
Yeah.
might have. But Apex, Mossy Oak, we're here. We're waiting to hear from you. That's all I'm going to say tonight. Because we got to get out of here and he's got to get home.
That's right.
All right. We'll see y'all next week.